How you doing, old chap?
Not.
Good evening. Has the day treated you kindly, sir?
No. It's a day. It's a day that ends with Y, so no.
Oh, that is a most unfortunate. Perhaps you'd like to go on a nice wizardry adventure.
No, probably not.
Through great forest, over mountains, into caves.
Do the trees walk with you too?
Lots of walking. Everything walks. Do you want to walk?
No. I don't want to walk in real life, so I don't know if I want to read about walking.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this, as the folks who listened to the last episode, because of course you all listened to the last episode, I mentioned that I was 50 pages into The Hobbit. Over the weekend, I finished The Hobbit, because we were supposed to be reading Blood Meridian. We'll get into that when the episode drops for that. But I read The Hobbit, and surprise, surprise, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not think I was going to really like it that much, because I'm not into hard fantasy, and I didn't like the Lord of the Rings movies that much, and I'm just not into that stuff, really. I loved it. Loved it. 5 out of 5 whiskey shots.
Now, because I was looking, because you posted about that also in that literary group that we're always talking about.
Right.
And I was looking through some of the comments, and I did see a couple of people saying, like, The Hobbit and then the trilogy
Are different.
are kind of different. So are you worried about that, or?
Well, for my reading, The Hobbit, because I think we really botched this last week, which I don't even know why, because I did read the intro to The Hobbit, which said he wrote it first, but for some reason we were discussing if he wrote Hobbit. But he wrote The Hobbit first as a kid's story, and because he wrote it in the 30s, it's, you know, a modern adult story, because we're fucking stupid now, and we can't handle any kind of language that's, you know, more extravagant than 4-letter words. But he wrote...
Hey, I like my 4-letter words.
I know you do, buddy. I know you do. But he wrote The Hobbit as like a kid's book, and then he was going to continue with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy just happened to turn out more serious and darker and be more for adults, which I'm about. Now, what I have read from the comments in that group were a lot of people saying that they liked The Hobbit, they didn't like Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings drags on, some of it's boring, some of it's dull, which is what I read in the reviews, but I also read those for the reviews of The Hobbit. Well, I put more stock into what the people in that group say, because a lot of them read boring classic literature.
Yeah.
So if they think it's boring, it might actually be boring. Versus on Goodreads, a lot of those people read like YA, super fantasy, like, you know, stuff that we would think was actually boring because it's so basic.
Now, how long was The Hobbit? I know it's going to be a little bit different because you got them in like those little small compact, like, you know, like editions.
I would say about 250 pages.
Okay.
But like the pages are smaller, so it might not even be that if it was like a full size, you know, book. But the print's small too, so it might even out.
Because I always assumed the Lord of the Rings books
were like big girthy boys.
Big guys too.
No, I think maybe the Fellowship is the biggest one of them, and I think that's maybe 350. Well, I don't even know, because this one was 300 pages. The Hobbit was 300 pages, but when I got to the end, it turned out the last 50 pages were the first chapters of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. So, like, I don't know why exactly they did. Maybe just a, you know, nice transition or something.
Then maybe those books that got put into that thing, they might have not been published at the same time originally.
That's possible too.
Yeah,
and you just a preview.
And you just got them after they've all came out and put them in the collection thing like that.
I really, really love. I know they just kind of look basic because they're small. They're like leather.
I do like the way that they look. I'll give you that. They are a nice looking set.
Well, they just like. I really enjoy just the physical act of reading them, because they're these nice travel size. They have the illustrations and the maps in them, and they smell good. And they're just like these nice little I actually could put The Hobbit in my pocket.
I was gonna say it's kind of like if you didn't spend the money for them, that it'd be like that, like 10-cent book you could keep in your back pocket and go run and play like a kid, like, you know.
But like the actual trilogy coming up. And I'm going to have to check this when I start reading The Fellowship tonight. I don't know exactly how the books are laid out, because, like I said, the first chapter or two of The Fellowship was at the end of The Hobbit, but I don't know if it's just a continuation, because when I was looking at the page counts for the last one, it was like 1,000 something, and I was like, well, what the fuck? That ain't right. And I looked, and they just go, like, the page number just continues throughout. So I don't know if, like, the chapters, like, if they end one of the books on the beginning chapter of the other book, if it would just continue. So it's hard to keep track of the page counts like that. I have to look on Goodreads or something to see the actual page counts. But none of them are too big. And Tolkien's style of writing, at least compared to Blood Meridian, was so easy to read that I flew through it.
Do you want to die tonight?
Yes.
Well, you're not supposed to be cheery about it. This is supposed to be a hardcore open.
I will give you
Closer we get to Halloween, the harder...
I will give you $5.
$5.
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to slit your throat.
You know what? I never liked the Scream movies. I mean, they were all right. I just... If it's not like a scary serial killer, I'm not really that interested. Because I feel like I could beat up the Scream guys. Fucking Lillard was his name. Fucking played Scooby.
Yeah.
Or, play Scooby. He played Shaggy, a Scooby-Doo movie. I feel like I could beat that guy up. I'm not afraid of him and his buddy.
I like the idea of the Scream movies, just of the being the play on the hollow, but and then I get it too because when they got into the sequels, because it's still you're doing a play on all the sequels, but it's just that's enough. They're coming out with a new one now.
Yeah, I saw that reboot or something. Anyway, this is actually the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast, not the Murder Podcast that you probably wish you clicked on after you hear our voices. I am your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Moroccan Mummy Church. I don't know. What does a mummy sound like?
Yeah, I'd imagine that it would be very dry.
Very dry. Today we're going to be talking about mythological monsters from Celtic mythology. That's a bad way to say that. Today we're going to be talking about Irish mythological creatures. How about that? Does that work better? It's the title of the thing I'm looking at.
So is there what do they call it? How you're into the Japanese culture? I feel you had a Japanese file. I can't remember how you phrased it though. You always been into the Japanese culture, so
weeb?
No, that's the manga stuff, right?
Right.
I forget
historian?
No, that's not it.
A fanatic?
Something, but I thought it was your Japanese file or something like that. I forget because I remember
a Japanophile,
something like that. Because I remember you and Nicholas Oberon were talking about it because both you guys are I can't remember the word you guys used. I thought you would remember it since you used it.
A Japanophile is somebody who likes Japanese culture.
Maybe, but
you can be a cinephile.
Yeah, like that.
I've been accused, as Norm Macdonald would say. I've been accused of being a cinephile.
But I was gonna say, is there a file
for Celtic stuff?
Yeah, because it seems like you've been balls deep in a lot of that recently.
Well, I'm 67% Irish, so I could at least say that the Celtic stuff is a little closer to home than Japanese. I am 0% Asian on my DNA report, but Irish. Got a lot of Irish in there, so that works. But, yeah, I don't know. It can't be an Irish file. That sounds stupid. A Eurocentric enthusiast.
Would Gingerphile, would that be too offensive?
Gingerphile? I don't think... Irish doesn't have as many redheads as you think. I think that's Scotland.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I don't want to... I know that's touchy. When you mix them up, I know they get angry at you, so I apologize for that.
If you mix up Ireland, Scotland, or Wales, you get beat to death in the street by hooligans. Because Wales, which I didn't know, which I feel like we actually talked about with Ben Cross because he was a Welshman, and I so erroneously said he sounded like Sean Connery, who's a famous Scotsman.
Yeah.
Wales one is fucking not by
not
there.
Anywhere near. At least the other two are kind of close to each other, right?
But I'm so stupid. We're both so stupid, and dumb,
American.
and fucking idiotic that we didn't even realize Wales was a country too that England just took over like assholes. Ireland was.
Why are you gonna say? Well, where do you think we got it from?
I don't know. Just get into the episode. I don't want to talk about Irish history. I think everybody gets bored when I talk about Irish history. We're gonna talk about fairies. Spelled with an E because that's how they do it over there. The Emerald Isle is what they call it. Oh, so anyway, we're there's 31 on this list, which this list is the Irish road trip. I might link that in the show notes. I'm not sure, but these are just short descriptions. We just kind of want to cover because last episode was about monsters, and on the playbacks I edited it actually today, right before I published it. I feel like we did a fairly shitty job talking about monsters because we kind of just went over the main ones, the classic movie monsters mainly, and a couple pop culture fiction ones. But I wanted to get into like some real monsters, you know, some mythological monsters that might even have a base in like reality or just like something people actually believe existed. Because nobody believes a Frankenstein monster existed, but they do believe, you know, some of these existed.
I believe
I can fly. Now, this one actually looks like Nosferatu with his mouth sealed up.
Yeah.
Which, how does he bite? How does he bite if he got a sealed up mouth? He got the Deadpool mouth from the Wolverine movie. The Wolverine Origins movie. Yeah. Number 1, the Achtak, the Irish vampire. I didn't pronounce that right, by the way. But the picture is just Nosferatu with that actually might be Nosferatu, heavily edited, and his mouth is sealed up with like flesh. You can almost see his lips.
Well, maybe the Nosferatu was based off of this guy. Maybe that's a possibility.
We're gonna find out. First up is arguably the scariest of the many Irish mythology creatures, Irish monsters. The Achtak now is widely known that Bram Stoker's Dracula has close ties to Ireland. Which, when we did one of the Irish episodes, I was like, Bram Stoker's Irish? Because he came up on the Irish authors, and I was like, is he Irish? I still don't think he is. I think he
likes
Ireland. It's so close over there, but, you know, Ireland is an island. The author was, of course, born in Dublin. Okay, 100%. Again, I think we know this. We read this. We covered it. Why are we dumb?
We can't retain information.
I am poor at retaining information that is important.
Yeah,
if it's not important,
it's in there forever.
Forever. However, it's not Dracula that we're referring to here. The tale of the Achtak is one that's hard to debunk, and many believe that it's real. In this guide, and there's a guide, I guess I will put this in the show notes because there's a guide you can click to. We tell the story of this Celtic mythological creature and offer insight into where in Ireland it roamed and where it's now buried. For funsies, I'm going to click on this guide, but I'll open it in a new link so we can
jump back.
Okay. Oh, see, this is cool. This is covered in great detail. It gives you the origin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is nice. I like that. So, yeah, folks, you're going to definitely want to go to the IrishRoadTrip.com/Irish or /Irish mythology if you want to check some of these out. It will be in the show notes. Number 2, Balor of the Evil Eye. This is just a floating eyeball. I hope it's a floating eyeball.
Cool.
This is a picture of a cat eye, but I hope it's a floating eyeball. The leader of the supernatural creatures called the Fomorians, Balor of the Evil Eye, one of many Irish demons, was, unsurprisingly enough, a giant with a large eye. Okay, giant with a large eye is cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
I could deal with that.
Especially if it's just one giant eye.
Yeah, one giant eye. While he was spying on his father's druids, the noisome vapors of a spell entered his eye. The eye became swollen and granted him the power of death. Like I said, some of these Irish mythological creatures that I've just been stumbling across are fucked up.
Yeah.
Because Ireland had so many tragedies throughout its whole history that I would imagine for anything to scare those hardy people, it had to be horrible.
Well, and even too, I'm sure probably back in those days too, these are probably like some of these characters were probably made up to explain some of the crazy shit that happened, or some of the terrible things that happened to them.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that. Number 3, the Banshee. We all know the Banshee.
That's an X-Men character.
I'm going to have 10 minutes of silence because you fucking sounded like a little kid. That's an X-Men character. Yeah, that's an X-Men character. A stupid one. Can we go on? Do you like the Banshee? Are you a Banshee fan? No, you're not. Nobody is. I mean, Hercules is a fucking Marvel character, so... The Banshee is one of the better known of the many Irish mythological creatures. Irish monsters. I'm going to go ahead and stop reading it like that and just say Irish monsters because I don't want to keep reading the word mythological, but they keep splitting it up here. Mainly due to the popularity of storytelling in Irish culture. A female spirit, and because you didn't read Neon Druids yet because you're a fuckface, one of the stories I believe is a banshee in a bar.
Sorry, some asshole.
It's a short read. It's not that big of a collection.
Read some other book beforehand.
Folks, if you want to read a pretty quality short story collection by a lot of, I guess you could say indie authors. I don't know I'm sure some of them are published in mainstream. Maybe a lot of them. I don't know. I didn't really look into the actual authors. But if you want to read a good collection of Celtic mythology where a lot of them branch off into modern day stuff, Neon Druids. Check it out. It's a great read. A female spirit from Irish mythology, the Banshee can appear in many forms. She could be an old woman with frightening eyes, a pale lady in a white dress, or a beautiful woman wearing a shroud. I would go beautiful woman. I'd rather have that than the...
Yeah, if I'm going to get murdered by something.
Yeah. Regardless of how she looks, it's her wail that sends shivers up the spine of many, as it signals impending doom. Now, different stories And there's a link here too for more Banshee information, but different Banshees in Irish mythology, some you'll die right when you hear their wail. Some it just means you're going to die or somebody's going to die. Very ominous, depending on what story you read. But there's various Banshees and, their powers and what they can do. But as far as I know, none of them blow up your head or anything.
The X-Men one can fly.
I know she can fly, Spencer. She's a fucking bitch. You can read this one, number 4.
That's okay.
Oh, come on. It's easy.
The
Well, one, there's a P in the middle. It looks like a dragon. Number 4, the Olyphist. Olyphist. You gotta say it fast and it sounds like you did it right. The Olyphist. Oilliph squiggly EIST. The Olyphist. Although you will often hear the Olyphus described as a Celtic monster, it was said to take on the appearance of a dragon. The Olyphus used to inhabit the dark, murky waters of many lakes and rivers across Ireland, and many Irish warriors ended up fighting these Celtic folklore creatures. By the way, I know your new favorite superhero, which you need to get on, which is one of Ireland's most famous heroes of all time, is Cuchulainn, which is an Irish warrior who turned into pretty much an Irish Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
But gross.
Yeah.
He turned into an Incredible Hulk and just fucking, berserk everything. But he was more do you remember the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie?
Yeah.
Where they had Dr. Jekyll's this big freak? That, a big freak. I actually think he might be Inside Out. I don't remember specific. But he's very gross. Very gross and just fucking kills everybody. So Cuchulainn.
So he kind of almost turns into a Titan.
Yeah. He's very big. Not giant,
but I mean, with the skin is, the skins are on the outside.
Number 5, the Dergdu, one of the lesser known Irish mythological creatures. It's a lady with a horsey, is what I'm seeing, and a guy with a fire and a skeleton. Fire coming out of the skeleton's chest. It's a split image. The Dergdu. She stands in the shadows of the better known Abhrach, but she's none of the less terrifying in our opinion. You're going to have me saying a lot of weird things. And these are as close as I can get to pronouncing them. We've gone over this in the past about the Irish words. I watched a video on how to pronounce the third letters properly, and I still not even close.
Difficult.
The Dergdu is one of several Irish mythological creatures, Irish monsters. Fuck, I forgot to skip. I'm going to skip it. The Dergdu is one of the several Irish monsters whose characteristics resembles that of a vampire. Her name translates to red bloodsucker, very creative, and according to legend, she's a cunning vampire who seduces men and drains them of their blood. Number 6, the Dullahan. Looks like a headless horseman.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Or a headless host lady, it looks like.
She has a titty. I see it. That's a Foley. That's a Foley under that squiggly arm. People tend to view fairies as happy little Irish mythological creatures that possess a variety of magical powers. Most fairies are assholes, I find.
Yeah.
They're, especially changelings. There's some good fairies, but they're only, there's a story I read from the W.B. Yeats, whatever the fuck, I forget. W.B. Yeats collection. He edited a bunch of Irish stories back in the day, and one of them was about a guy, big old humpy on his back, gross, and he's the nicest guy, real sweetheart of a guy, and everybody fucking treats him like shit because he got a big old hump on his back. Runs into some fairies, he sings their song, and they like him. They remove the hump. But the fucking one guy that really tortures him and is a real dickhead, they gave him the hump, and he got 2 humps.
Oh, double hump.
Double humped him up. Our next creature, the Dullahan, is a fairy that you'd struggle to describe as happy, as it takes the form of a headless rider on a black horse. Out of everything, really? Gotta be the fucking Sleepy Hollow, no pumpkin, though. According to legend, the Irish folklore creature uses the spine of a human as a whip. Oh, fucking rad.
I like that.
Fucking radical, man. The Dullahan can also foreshadow deaths. I would imagine the fucking spine waving would be the death, but okay. If he calls out your name, you will immediately drop dead.
Which is impressive since it has no head. How's it calling you?
Ethereal voice. But I'm interested to see how many of our American stories, like the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, are based on maybe some of these mythologies. Because the Headless Horseman, that's the Headless Horseman, right?
Pretty
Minus
much,
the pumpkin and also spine, which I'd rather have the spine.
Yeah.
Seems pretty, Here's that word again.
Who wins in a fight? That thing? Pootie Tang.
Ooh, with the whip?
Yeah.
Pootie Tang. Pootie Tang wins 99 to 100% of the time. I would say I would lean towards 100. Number 7, Fomorians, and that's a bunch of fairy folk on horses or something. They
look at the one in front of the horse that's all like,
I think that guy works at Walmart. Now, just to be clear, the Fomorians aren't exactly dangerous Celtic mythological creatures. They're more terrifying in appearance. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A race of supernatural giants. Oh, they're giants, so they're like titans. A race of supernatural giants, Fomorians are often described as hideous-looking monsters who came from the sea underworld. That's probably why they're gross then.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't stay.
You get all that pruny skin.
Yeah. Irish, they are like bald and smooth, like all over, hairless. Irish tales tell many that's a weird phrasing.
Yeah.
Irish tales tell many tales of these creatures with tails now. Irish tales tell many tales of these creatures who were one of the earliest races to settle in Ireland, along with the mighty Tuatha. Number 8, another hard to read word with extra squigglies. The Bananach. Irish demons. In the picture, this is not a depiction of these things. This is clearly just something made up, but these are like giant skeletons in the picture.
Like ghost skeletons.
Well, they look like they got like scorpion tails too.
I think that's just a hip.
Maybe. Oh yeah, I get. Yeah, you see it better than me. You got full screen. Well, no, you're still cut. Screen's bigger though. And we're back to creepy Celtic monsters again. Aren't they all? Like, what do you mean? Yeah. And we're back? They were creepy the whole time, asshole. Sorry. We're back to creepy Celtic monsters again, next with the Bananach. In Irish folklore, Bananach are a supernatural race that were known to haunt battlefields. These airborne shrieking demons may have had a goat-like appearance and were associated with violence and death. You think? Anytime a demon that's shrieking airborne is probably a harbinger of doom, I would imagine.
A battlefield.
Over a battlefield. Number 9, the Slog. The Slog that's just like an ethereal creature. I can't tell. Looks like a guy with a hood, honestly. Or is there a tree growing? I don't know. Slogs were one of the handful of Irish mythical creatures that well and truly creeped me out as a child after hearing stories about them from friends. These Celtic monsters were restless spirits that were said to be neither welcome in hell or heaven, so they were left to roam the lands. That's the worst. When earth is your purgatory. According to legend, the Slogs were angry about their fate and would snatch the soul of anyone with who they crossed paths. So yeah, leave those guys alone. By the way, I didn't realize this was a personal article, so what's that guy's name that wrote this? That's not an Irish name. Dejan Banajevic? Sounds Russian? So this article is written by Dejan Banajevic. I feel like these Irish websites are, because remember fucking Daryl Jones from the last one we did?
It does that.
That ain't Irish. Where are we on? Number 10. Oh, boy. That's a weird looking thing. The Ellen Tretchen. It looks like a fucking giant cockroach eating its ass with a bunch of pincers.
Well, no, there's 3 heads eating 3 tails.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And then there's the legs, and then you got little wings for some reason. Those things aren't doing nothing.
And a big spiky spine. Ellen Tretchen was a true Celtic monster. In fact, it was a 3-headed Celtic monster. Now, like many Irish mythological creatures, the form of Ellen Tretchen changes depending on the tale. Some stories represent the creature with the form of a vulture, while others describe it as a fire-breathing dragon. Ellen Tretchen is known to emerge from a cave and embark on a rampage of destruction in a tale called the Cathmagi Makaram. That thing in the picture is not what they described at all. Section 2, harmless Celtic mythological creature. Oh, so no, we get like nice ones that aren't monsters?
Well, maybe.
Well, we don't have to really read these too hard. Number 1, the Leprechaun. Leprechauns can be evil, by the way. Not just the movies. Leprechauns have a history of being very upset when you take their gold.
As they should be.
That's a fucking dick thing to do. I mean, they're hiding it under a rainbow. That's kind of like a lot of work, probably. The leprechaun is arguably the best known of the many Celtic creatures, mainly due to his association with Ireland and the quirky tale attached to it. Most leprechauns weren't like happy little green-clothed men either. They were, they had many different appearances. There's different kinds
of trollish, like I would assume.
There's also, and there's also different kinds of leprechauns too. Like not all of them are just like happy-go-lucky gold having leprechauns. Like they all did different things. There's like the fairies. There was many kinds of leprechaun, and also that's not the real spelling or word is not leprechaun. It's like a whole thing. I don't know if they'll cover that in this thing, but in Irish folklore, these elf-like creatures are tricksters who cannot be trusted and will deceive you whenever possible. There's something about too, like you always have to get them drunk or they like steal your beer. or something. I don't know. Contrary to popular belief, the leprechaun has nothing to do with the term the luck of the Irish. This term actually has offensive origins. Great. And there's a link there to be offended. These are supposed to be nice creatures, by the way, because this is the Puka, number 2. That doesn't look nice.
That's creepy looking.
Mm-hmm. That thing looks like Shrek if Shrek was a demon. Like Shrek's crackhead brother.
Yeah.
The Puka, or Puka... Sorry, folks. It says the Puka, and then in parentheses it says or Puka. It's spelled differently, but it's still Puka, right?
I would assume that's how it sounds.
Because in Gaelic, all C's are all K's pronounced, so it would still be Puka.
Because the first one's Pooka, and in parentheses Puca.
Puka. Though I could understand if you were an English speaker, and it was because if it's actually Puka, Puca, you'd probably think it was Pusa or something. Yeah. The Puka is one of several Irish mythological creatures that doesn't get half the attention that it deserves. This mischievous little fella is said to bring either good or bad fortune, and it can appear in various animal forms, though he always wears a dark coat. You know what? We should have found a fucking article from the guy who edited the Neon Druids, because he has an Irish mythological website, because he wanted me to write for him. Fuck, I don't remember the name of the... I think it was just like Irish mythology or something like that. It was a simple name.
But is it like articles, or is it
he had a bunch of different articles.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure he would have like a top 10 scariest or, something on there. Maybe we'll do that in the future. The Puka has the power of human speech, and it loves to confuse and terrify people, and you can read more on their guide. Number 3, the Marrow. That's like a mermaid lady.
That's what it looks like.
But if my memory is correct, she's gross. I don't think she's a hot lady. Well, let's find out. This Celtic mythological creature is best described as a mermaid in appearance. However, this is where the similarities... end of period? Okay. Was this supposed to be a sentence? This creature is best described as a mermaid in appearance. However, this is where the similarities... Okay. All right. End? Is that where the similarities end, I'm assuming? I hope nobody in the future, not like a random podcast in the future, goes back to old DPW articles and reads them on their shitty podcast and then just like, oh, these fucking... Look, he forgot a word.
That's common right there.
Like many Celtic creatures, the Marrow has incredible powers, and it is able to reside on land or the depths of the ocean. The Marrow is said to be half fish, from the waist down, of course, and half beautiful woman from the waist up, and according to legend, is friendly and modest. Would you take? You know the old one. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Which one are you going with? Fish bottom, human bottom. The vice versa switch. If you got to make sexy time with the mermaid, would you want the fish to be the top half or the bottom half?
Bottom half.
You want the bottom half to be fish?
Yeah.
So you're putting your wiener in fish.
Well, I just wouldn't go anywhere down there.
Well, you got to have sex with this thing.
Well, there's other ways.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like...
There's other things you can do. And I feel like if it's the other way, you're just staring a fish in the face. I feel like that's going to be the hardest part.
Not if you doggy style the fish. Then you just grab onto its flipper or whatever it had. Depends what kind of fish. You know what I enjoyed? And I'm going to botch this 100% because it's been a while since I read it. But in that collection I have, one of the stories was about this guy. Long story short, he befriends, I forget the creature, but it's something that lives under the ocean. And when it puts on a tiny hat, like he ends up befriending it on this beach because it was a friend of his dad's. It takes him to this world under the ocean, like this, almost like King Kai's planet, but under the ocean. Like there's a big dome of water all around it, and it's like this cool little world. But what it doesn't know is it collects souls of drowned fishermen. Or what the guy doesn't know, he finds out, and it collects them in like these barrels just because it thinks it's fun. Like it doesn't realize it's like fucking tormenting these poor souls by having them, because when you die underwater, apparently you can't go up to heaven. Like you fucking float around or something. So the guy ends up having to like go back and save him. It's a fun story. I'd recommend people reading it, but I won't be able to give you the name of it or anything else. So you'll just have to Google very shittily that very terrible description I gave you. Number 4, Fear Gorta. Oh, a name like Fear Gorta. How can you go wrong? That's a weird image. Is that somebody holding a baby or?
No, I think it's just like an old person, like a
turning to
person.
Dust or just dirty.
I think they're just slumped over on
Is
the
that
street.
just Pigpen in the future from Charlie Brown?
Probably.
The Fear Gorta is one of a number of Celtic folklore creatures that emerged during the time of the famine in Ireland. which famine they have out of the multiple. I'm assuming the Great Hunger of 1847.
Is that the potato one?
Yeah. The Blight. The English brought the Blight. They didn't bring the Blight. The Fear Gorta is a Celtic creature that takes the form of a tired and weather-beating man who begs for food. That's terrible. Jesus.
That's like if I was a
In exchange, the Fear Gorta, also often referred to as a man of hunger, offers fortunes to those that offer assistance or kindness. Well, that at least had a happy ending.
Yeah.
But the time of the famine wasn't cool. They didn't call it the famine. They called it the Great Hunger. Or Black 47 was the... I'm going to give you some brief history, folks. Very brief. The Great Famine that I believe killed millions of people wasn't even because they had a shortage of food. Most of it at the beginning was because they got the blight on the potato crop, because that's what most of the people ate, and then they couldn't grow potatoes. But what really caused the famine was that the English government and fucking greedy Irish landlords and fucking greedy merchants all worked together to price out people and essentially made food too expensive for the poor people to afford. So it was like a man-made crisis for the most part. Terrible. So that image really gets to be bad. What's this? Number 5. The Leprechaun. Ooh, that guy. I've seen that guy around. Actually, it looks like Charles Bukowski.
I think I've worked with that guy.
Yeah. Just think of any fat-faced, gross, drunk-looking dude. There you go. The Leprechaun is a strange one. It's like the Puka, to an extent. Not it plays jokes on people, but that's where the similarities end. In a nutshell, this is one of the number of Irish folklore creatures that closely resembles people that you'll find in towns and villages across the world. The Leprechaun takes on the appearance of an old man that's too fond of alcohol and that likes to play tricks on people. Number 6, the Fardarig. It's got a plague mask. I don't know. It's a image of a thing in a plague mask and a hat. I always like those plague masks. I really want them, but they're expensive. Every time I see them at the Renaissance Festival, they're like fucking too much money.
There's even sometimes you even see them at conventions every once in a while too, and it's just like,
I need to just buy one. Just wear it around to work. I mean, especially now because we always have to have masks at places. Imagine if I was delivering to the hospital and I walk in with a fucking plague mask. That would be like a harbinger of doom right there. People see that, like, ah, shit. Just walk into like old people's like rooms on the fucking heart floor or something.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? A supernatural being with long snouts and skinny tails, the Fardarig are actually closely related to leprechauns in Irish mythology. These small fairies usually wear red caps and coats, and similar to the Leprechaun, love to play practical jokes on humans. And then this next section is mythological creatures that were fierce warriors. We're going to have to speed this up, or this is going to be a two-parter. Number 1, the Opcon. Guys with axes in the battlefield. You know what is one of my... I don't think it's going to be on this list. I just have a feeling. Because I featured it in my story. Oh, what the fuck was the name of those? The Drogs? I think it was the Drogs, like D-R-A-U-G or D-G-H. Essentially, battlefield zombies that are just unkillable. That's what I like. The first of our Celtic creatures is the mighty Opcon, a dwarf poet and a musician. Opcon was a member of the fairies Tuatha De Danann. He used to own a cool bronze boat with a tin sail. In one story, Opcon gets captured by the great Irish warrior Cuchulainn. How did he free himself? He whipped out an instrument and played soothing music until Cuchulainn fell asleep.
That's how you do it.
He tricked Cuchulainn with music. He was a regular Orpheus. I was going to say Odysseus for a second. That's clearly not right, but Orpheus, yes. Isn't that the only reason why I know the whole mythology of Orpheus is because his name is Orpheus? I don't know why that gets to me. Number 2 sounds like a fucking Android app or update or something. AOSSI. I don't even know how you get close to pronouncing that. Number 2, Aussie. Aussie translates to people of the mound. These Celtic folklore creatures can be very protective and can appear in a form of either beautiful or grotesque creatures. I would hope beautiful. According to legend, if a human did something to offend them, they wouldn't hesitate in seeking painful revenge. Number 3, Belle. That's a pretty lady, sparkling in the sunset.
Doing something weird.
Doing something strange. Belle is one of a number of Irish mythology creatures that uses music to defeat their enemies. A guardian of the Oh my god. When they start throwing in the big letters too in the middle, like now I'm really out of it.
Big C.
Big C. A guardian of the Dai Kais, an Irish clan. Belle is the fairy queen of Thomond. A lot of time when you get that big letter, you don't even say that first letter. I don't know why it's there.
Yeah.
I know why it's there. That's for genders, I think. Because a lot of times, but not like normal genders. It'd be like a T or like, I don't know what it stands for. I don't know which gender. I just know that's probably for a gender. She lived on Craig Leoth. Oh, actually, no, because when they do like names of places, they also use those, so that's not gendered. She lived on a Craig Leoth and played a magic harp. It is believed that whoever listened to her play would die rather sooner than later. Number 4, the Man-Wolves of Ossory. In hindsight, maybe the Man-Wolves of Ossory should have been put with the Celtic monsters at the beginning. He's just too lazy to retcon it. The motive of Man-Wolves of Ossory is quite strong in Irish mythology, and many old tales revolved around these tribes of Wolfman. I feel like this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
So you were saying how much you love Wolfman in the last episode, and you want to touch his furry body. Ancient kings of Ireland used to seek their assistance during war times when they were going up against a fierce opponent. I know Mr. I Hate the Hobbit, because I never read it, but I just hate it. Spencer fucking Midnight Marauder, whatever you are, Church. Hobbit has some fucking badass wolf monsters.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they talk.
Doesn't the dragon talk?
Literally everything talks. Everything. If you talk to it, it'll talk back. You might not understand it, but it talks. Every animal, everything. I don't know if I'd like that word.
I feel like it would make it harder to eat things.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Number 5, the Fairy Queen. This is just fucking dumb. You can't talk about Irish creatures without mentioning the fairies, and you can't mention the fairies without first introducing the Fairy Queen. The ruler of all fairies, the Fairy Queen is one of the most famous Celtic creatures, often named Titanian or Mop. I like Titanian. That's an awesome name. She is often described as both seductive and beautiful. Number whatever, the fairies. Fairies are easily the best known of the many Irish folklore creatures, and their presence has been in everything from Disney movies to video games. The fairies... Now, are fairies an actual Irish creation? That's one thing I never really got, like, 100%. Like, because you always read about them in, like, the old, the what the fuck are, like, Hans Christian Andersen or Grimm or whatever one of those fucking fairy tales they ripped off back in the day. Were they just based off of Irish fairies or fairies other places?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure the word fairy actually came from Ireland, but are fairies an Irish creation?
I would just assume, being the ignorant white person that we were talking about earlier that we are, I would assume that, so probably not.
More interesting. Okay, there's a few more. The Caoilí. The Caoilish. The Caoilish is one of the several Irish mythological creatures that has different forms, depending on who's telling the story.
Again.
In old Irish folklore, I feel like a lot of these were probably just oral stories, so they weren't, because that's one thing about Irish, like they always talk about, like, well, why is, like, like the Neil Gaiman, he always goes back and does, like, mythologies and stuff. How come nobody's ever tried to retcon or update or really go through Irish mythology?
It's just not there, probably.
Well, the main problem is because the fucking English, when they went there and were conquering and fucking trying to take over Ireland and all this shit, one, they threw religion into that motherfucker. And any mythology that had to deal with any kind of pagan religion or anything, which was probably a lot of it, they changed it. So if you had, like some kind of demon king or some kind of monster, some pagan monster, well, now that pagan monster has something to do with fucking like Christianity or something. Like they just like changed it. So a lot of that stuff didn't really get to pass through intact, and people just haven't been able to go back and really update. Anyway, so this Caoilí, she's a hag. She created the earth. In Scottish folklore, she's said to be one of the immense ability to influence the weather. That's another one I'm interested in, is how much do these cross over, like Scottish and Irish?
Yeah.
Because I would imagine they'd have a lot of the same myths. Often referred to as the Queen of Winter, Caoilí is one of the great Celtic mythological creatures. She controlled the weather and the winds and was popular among many Irish poets. This one looks like a good one. The Mucky. Is it a big fish monster?
It looks like it. That's what it looks like it is.
It inhabits the lakes of Killarney in Ireland, earning a comparison with Scotland's Loch Ness Monster. I never knew Loch Ness was spelled that way. I know it's not, but I didn't know, like, Loch Ness Monster. Loch Ness Monster.
That's what it is.
Loughh, because I always read it, loch, like a lock, but that actually makes more sense. In 2003, scientists were looking for this motherfucker. Did they find it? They found a large solid mass, which has fueled a speculation that the lake's inhabited by one of the last remaining Celtic mythological creatures. I mean, a big fish is probably like more realistic of actually being real. We got the glass garbage. Looks like a big fucking
bull.
Just looks like a normal cow, actually.
Yeah, cow, yeah.
Glass gabhen. If you're looking for stories about Irish creatures to tell your kids, this one is more suitable. It's a magical cow with green spots that can produce endless supplies of milk. I'm not drinking milk off any fucking green spotted cow. I'm sorry.
No? You don't want no Star Wars milk?
No, not at all. And if you eat its dung, you get high as fuck. That's not in there, but I would imagine if it's green spots, it got special dung. If I was back in the day creating this, I would always have it. You have to eat shit or piss to like get the fucking people to eat shit or piss. I would be the fucking leprechaun prankster. If you eat that goat shit, you're gonna fucking get good fortune. The Fellinis just look like rabid dogs in the picture. Let's see. They're just dogs that fought with warriors, so they're probably real. The I can't even say that word. The Conchaganog. It's not really a monster. It seduced both men and women. It's a sex guy. It had addictive toxins and a alluring smell. The Don Quillinge. More cows. So if you want to read about that, I think... Ooh, this guy looks creepy, actually. The Bodak. Number 7, the Bodak.
Why is one hand so much longer than the other?
He's Slender Man with big fingers, but I think this guy's real fingers. Although similar to the Boogeyman in appearance, the Bodak is one of a number of Celtic mythological creatures who, according to legend, was completely harmless. I would not think that guy was harmless. Some tales describe the Bodak as a Celtic creature that plays tricks on kids. Others, in Scottish folklore, say he used to capture both children. A story used to scare kids into behaving. Maybe that's why they make him look like the Slender Man in the picture. Doesn't actually describe him. The Leanne Cide, that is, if I remember, a beautiful lady. It's a fairy woman. I won't go through that. They did not have the ones that I really wanted to see. I wanted to see... I'm going to find it real quick and we'll end the episode on that. Maybe it's not a Celtic monster. I thought it was. But tell me about your life story real quick.
It sucks.
Okay, that's good. That's exactly what I knew you were going to say. Isn't that fucked up?
I think that's a rabbit creature down there. Was pretty cool looking.
I mean, looking at the rabbit creature. That's actually, it's a fanged rabbit. If I remember correctly, it's an asshole.
Well, I mean, it seems like they all are.
Here we go. How do I make this big?
That weird upside down bat guy was a guy who's using a skeleton for a blanket.
You remember last week you were the asswang? Oh, you can't see me pointing. Yeah, the asswang. That's from the Philippines. That fucking weird thing. I
like that lion alligator thing up in the corner. The Egyptian
It's from
thing?
Egypt. Yeah, it's a lion with a fucking alligator head. That'd be scary as fuck.
Oh, what's the thing that's just like a head and like lungs and stuff?
Which one?
That's underneath the lion thing. That's underneath the
this.
Yeah, that.
That's from Malaysia. Oh, I remember that from that's like a detached female head. That's the one that they said they had on video flying on like off a bridge or something, like
really?
Chasing someone down a bridge. That was like one that's more recent.
Some of them just like parasites.
Yeah, a lot of these are Japanese creeps. No, where's the Japanese toilet paper monster I love?
Nice.
Where the fuck is here's one of the Irish. Oh, that's the one with the Dolahan we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty cool.
It looks like they gave it a different name. Was that what it was called in the article? I don't remember. No, this is what I was talking about. The Draugr. That's why it wasn't on the list. It's in Norway. Undead with superhuman strength and stamina, immune to normal weapons. That'd be fucking scary, just a zombie.
Yeah.
No, what was the one I was looking... the Kelpie, Scotland. I always thought that was Irish, so I was wrong. The Kelpie is like a gross horse monster demon thing. Where's the fucking half horse, half like fucking freak? That's the one I like. Not on... Maybe that's a Scottish... No, it's a Celtic monster, and it's terrifying. There's so many monsters, Spencer. Here, I'll look up Celtic monsters. Because they have a lot of horse ones. This one's like a lady of the forest, I remember. She's like a freaky lady. I'll have to edit a lot of this out, probably. Here's one of them. It's not the half one, but it's like a fucking it's like a demon horse that pulls you underwater and drowns you.
Ooh.
I don't know what that's name is. It looks worse than that. Oh, that's the Kelpie. I don't know why that keeps coming up under Ireland. It's probably one that's both.
Yeah, probably.
Celtic's also Scottish, so I guess... Maybe I should have been more specific and put Irish. Where is the fucking... It used to pop up every time I looked at these fucking things, and it was so freaky. Irish monsters. This is the one you were talking about, was the rabbit thing.
Yeah.
I forget the name. Fucking butts.
Oh, that's creepy looking.
That's the Kelpie.
No, it was in the back page.
I don't. Maybe it was just like the weird image version of the thing with the headless horse rider thing, because that's what it kind of looked like, from what I remember. But what I remembered was it was like melded. It was like a part of the horse. So maybe that's just a part of the mythology. Sometimes it's a part of the horse. Anyway, if you folks want to come hang out with us, you can come down to the DPW pub, bar, and grill tonight. We're gonna have sexy time. No, we're not doing that. We don't have a pub and grill. Should. If you want to check out... If
you want to donate money so we can get a pub and grill.
Funny you say that, because we have a donation page that is very rarely used. You go to the drunkenpenwriting.com website where fiction happens. We have a bunch of Halloween stories and stuff coming up, so they've been posting a lot lately, I guess. So you can check those out. If you want to check out our fiction, you can also go on there. We have author pages. You can go to Twitter and follow us at Drunk Pen Writing, Instagram and Facebook at Drunken Pen Writing. And YouTube, you could go on there for some reason if you really want to see us, static picture and listen to the podcast on there. Maybe some of you do. I doubt it. We don't get a lot of views on there because I don't promote that because I don't video.
Yeah.
I just do that as a backup, honestly. But if there's any Celtic monsters we missed that you really like, you can let us know in the comments below. Are there comments below? How do you comment? You can comment on the website.
Yeah.
Or on any of the social media, or even if you have Podbean or whatever podcast app. A lot of those I notice have comments on them. I don't know how that works. I never comment on a podcast. Who the fuck's reading that?
No.
I wouldn't. We might have comments galore. I wouldn't know. Wouldn't that suck if it turned out we had 800,000 comments and all these fans, and I just never noticed on the Podbean app, so I just never looked at them, and now they all went away. Anyway, thank you for listening. And how do you say? You gotta give us an Irish goodbye.
I don't.
No, not the stereotypical Irish goodbye, like the actual Irish goodbye. Slán.
Slán?
Yeah.
Slán?
You gotta say Slán.
Slán.
So let's do it. Not stupid. Thank you for listening. Slán.
Slán.